The following is a presentation of William Paterson University Television.
Welcome back to the desk. The Pioneers baseball and softball seasons are now well underway. And today and tomorrow they'll be traveling to Florida to play a bunch of games. We wish them the best of luck in those and obviously safe travels as well. But Mark, I'll start off with you. We got Andrew, Anthony, and Joe with me as well. Mark, softball kicked off their season against the Ducks of Stevens, split the series 1-1. What were your takeaways from those games?
You know, something I saw was clean fielding, just straight up. 97% fielding percentage. It's really good. I mean, if they can keep that up, we kind of been leading up to it. Last week we did the preview. We talked about how their fielding wasn't the cleanest last year, but it's starting off pretty good, pretty strong here. I think that they just need to keep that up, and they'll be set for this season. Yeah,
great plays by Haley Weinberg, Gabby Brancaccio, a couple of nice catches in right field. Jasmine Vera, big-time hose piece.
Oh, yeah.
To save the game. Force extras, numerous. Carly McDaniel, a number of plays at home to save the game. So that was definitely a key takeaway. That was fun to watch. Anthony, what'd you see?
Yeah, something we talked about before going into the season was how the Pioneers were going to pitch, how their success is going to hinge on their pitching. And their pitching in these two games against Stevens, really, really good. Jalen Miller goes 7 shutout innings. She did towards the end. She did get a little tired. She threw 130 pitches that game, so that's to be expected. You can't really blame her for allowing 6 runs in the final 2 innings. Yeah, you feel that in the arm after, right? And then the second game, Pioneers only allowed 5 runs, which isn't stellar, but it's not bad either by any stretch of the imagination. And backed by a strong 4 innings by Gabby Brancaccio, I think who's someone we talked about last time we talked about the WP softball team. That's really encouraging for your Willie P.
Jalen Miller, definitely the Iron Woman on the mound for that Stevens, that first game. Joe, what'd you see?
Yeah, from pitching, how about offense? Contact hitting, power hitting, that's super important, right? Got to get runs on the board somehow. Julian Beagles obviously nailed a moonshot to left field in the first game against Stevens. She had 3 hits alone, but how about, girls in their team, other girls on the team, putting the bat to the ball as well, right? That's super important. Keeping the chain moving, keeping the bats moving is super important. And they got 8 runs on 7 hits. That's pretty good, and that's going to be an X factor for the softball team this year, right? Produce your runs always on the board. Yeah,
it was very windy over at Stevens during that game. Me and Andrew were there. It was freezing. But they put good contact to the barrel. Gianna Mulatto had a couple of nice hits throughout the day. Andrew, what did you see from the 2 games?
Yeah, I'm going to tie it all together what everybody said. I'm going to go with grit. I mean, like you just said, it was cold there. It was a tough day right on the water. But, although Game 2 didn't go their way, Game 1 went their way. They showed a ton of fight in that game. It was 0-0 going into the 8th inning. Jalen Miller, as Walker said, pitched a great game. They scored 2 in the 8th, and they explode for 6 in the 9th. Bats came alive. This is a gritty team. They like to hit that gritty, if you know what I'm talking about, man. They're fun to watch right now. I'm really excited for them in Florida.
Yeah, no, it should be a lot of fun to get more reps under their belt. Andrew, that first game was 0-0 through the whole time, and then all of a sudden it was like a slugfest from both teams. So that back and forth action was great to see. But Joe, you mentioned Jillian Bigos with your response. I'll keep it with Andrew. You like to talk about Jillian Bigos. Yeah. Talk to me about how she performed.
All right, we'll take a look at Trill Jill's stats here at William Paterson. But Trill hit an absolute nuke in the 8th to take the lead. In her time here at William Paterson, 66 games, a .210 average, 26 hits, 4 triples, and you see that 1 home run? That was last week. It was amazing. It was awesome to see. Super happy for Jill. She deserves it. She's a huge piece of this team. Great leader, and she had a tough season last year with the injuries. I can't wait for her to come back this year.
Yeah, NJAC Player of the Week. That batting average, it's definitely going to go up. I mean, that hand was a big problem last year. She couldn't really swing the bat much. They were yelling weight room at her earlier in the game. She flew out to center field, and she cranks one out the left. Yeah. Joe, talk to me about Jill.
Yeah, I think, Bally pretty much said himself, a significant piece to this lineup. And, as a power hitter, no matter, you could put her anywhere in the lineup, she's going to put the ball in play no matter what. And, take away last season, right, 2022, you mentioned the injury. Overall, her career of batting average is pretty much high up there. So she's been producing since she's got here as a freshman here for the softball team.
Yeah, definitely going to be that impact player. Started batting 9th in the first game, got moved up the second game, and she might keep moving up. Marc?
Yeah, deservedly so. I mean, that home run was an absolute cranker. But, something that stands out to me is she's the athlete that she is. Field hockey, she plays as well. Yeah. So you can see the athleticism there as someone who is going to be a leader for this team.
You're a cranker.
Thank you.
Anthony.
I don't know how to recover. I don't know how to top that. But Bigos is great. I mean, she is a glue piece on this team for William Paterson. it's easy to get up in graduate students like Anna Nunziato, Caitlin Monahan, Carly McDaniel, because they all bring the power. Yeah. But Big O, she brings another aspect of the game. Good fielding, good contact. She puts the W in William Paterson. By the way, William, 2 syllables. I will not be taking questions at this time. Great. William, 2 syllables.
It's 3.
Great.
William Paterson.
That's 4.
Patterson.
Great game. Oh no, that's 5 actually. Great game from Big O. So I want to see what she does this year.
Oh my God. From softball to baseball, Joe, the Nears are rolling in both aspects, softball and baseball, looking to defend the NJAC crown. Had a big game against Utica last weekend. Take me through the game.
Yeah, me and Marc were on the call. It was freezing cold that day, by the way. But between Pioneers and Pioneers, here Tom Radigan crushes a moonshot down to right field line. Guys, this is an absolute moonshot. I mean, that ball was crushing. He knew it right off the bat. Nice job by Tom Radigan. He makes it 3-0. But how about pitchers are athletes too? Nice play right there by Damani Rivas. He gets out the inning right there. Bottom of the 4th, Ruben singles to the left side. Radigan advances to 3rd. Cabasas also scores on that. Wild pitch right there. Jake Glutz gets the walk. Lombardo is able to score home on the wild pitch. Keep it here in the 8th. Damani Rivas was absolutely pumping throughout this whole entire game. He had a good style there. Dan Carter, he singles as well down the left in the infield. Lombardo scores. Young holds up at 2nd. Still here in the bottom here, Carson Weiss takes the opposite field. He cranks a huge dub right there, which continues the lead up for the Pioneers. Yellen scores, Carter scores. At that point, it's 10-1. And really, this pretty much sums up the whole entire game against Utica. And the final score was 12-1 for the Pioneers. I mean, again, Darmani Rivas, huge game, Brian. He was just pumping fastball, he was doing his slider. I actually played him as well in high school, so I know how he pitches. But yeah, overall, big productive game by the whole entire lineup, and everyone was putting the ball in play.
Yeah, definitely a big victory. Anytime you get a 12-1 win, a lot of key takeaways. Andrew, what's some of yours?
Yeah, no, I mean, they dominated Utica from the opening pitch. They had a ton of extra base hits. Like you mentioned, Tom Radigan, his first collegiate homer. Matt Lawler also had 2 perfect innings. He had 2 strikeouts. And this is a squad, man. They're not to be messed with at all.
Yeah, when they can put up runs like that and they get pitching performances like we saw from Darmani Rivas, it's going to be very tough to beat those Pioneers. Marc?
Yeah, I mean, what a game. Like Joe said, I was on the call with him for that one. I couldn't feel my hands. Very cold. But, watching Tom Radigan absolutely smack that homer into the outfield was, what a sight.
Yeah,
Jake Glutz, too.
Yeah, Jake Glutz had a nice one as well.
Yeah, those are real crankers as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Anthony.
Yeah, no, Marc, Joe, you guys were cold, but the Nears were hot. They the 2 home runs by Lutz and Radigan. Good to see them get off the schneid to start the year. And also, I want to highlight Darmani Rivas. He, pitched last year, was a little banged up. Only pitched 8 innings, but this year he has been an absolute stud. He's made 2 starts this year, and he has been great in both of them. So I'm really, really excited to see what he's bringing to the table as the season continues on.
Yeah, Anthony, I'll keep it with you, Anthony. From one stud, Darmani Rivas, to another stud, Steve Yellen, a record-breaking stud. All-time doubles leader now, William Paterson. Talking about Steve.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the stats here for Steve Yellen. He is awesome. I love Steve Yellen. He has been a stalwart in this Pioneer lineup for years. A 397 batting average in 132 games, 55 doubles. That is the record 20 big flies and an OPS of 1.105. He provides a lot of protection in that lineup. You could see pitchers are, they're scared to pitch to him. He draws a lot of easy walks because pitchers don't want to deal with him. And quite frankly, I can't blame him. And also about Steve Yellen, he steps up in the big spots. Last year in the NJAC championship game against Kane, had a couple of big hits, had a home run. He is an absolute stud.
Yeah, definitely deserves his flowers today. Career 55 doubles, only going to keep going up as well. Joe, talking about Yellen.
You can do a lot of scouting report on Yellen. You can do whatever you want, but it's so hard to work around as a pitcher against him because he's a danger on the base pad. He's a danger hitting. He's a danger on the defensive side. I think as catcher, he can also play the outfield as well, right? And even if you walk him, right, attention, you walk him, you have a whole lineup behind him, guys behind him who can also smack the ball hard. So it's really hard to, beat around the bush against him. So no matter what he does, he's always going to be a benefactor for this team.
Marc?
Yeah, Yellen, one of the best all-around players, both on offense and defense of this Pioneers lineup. Just the way he plays the game is phenomenal. Such a smart player as well. I mean, you see what he does on the defensive side of the ball, which is what I really want to highlight. Really solid blocker, in the on the backstop. So someone that can really, really help out this Pioneers team down the line.
Yeah, and definitely got a cannon behind the plate too. Don't want to run on Steve Yellen. Don't want to pitch to Steve Yellen. Ballistreri, close us out.
I mean, hey, listen, man. Steve Yellen, he's been dominant ever since he stepped onto Jeff Albie's field. In his, worst year, he hit .383, and that was when he was a freshman. So, that kind of just tells the story right there. And also, this guy, he hasn't really gotten his flowers enough because, Dan Carter, we saw him last year, absolutely phenomenal. This whole team last year, phenomenal. This team this year. But no, Steve, he's finally getting his flowers. He deserves it.
Yeah, definitely deserves it. And the Pioneers, hopefully, are going to make a statement down south in Florida, softball and baseball. We wish them both the best of luck. And don't forget to follow us here at SportsSWP on Twitter and Instagram for updates and more. Join us in 2 weeks as we're going to switch things back over. Probably maybe some NFL draft, maybe the MLB season will be starting up, and of course we'll keep it with the Nears with softball and baseball. Big thanks to this cast and crew, and the tallest man in the room, to our studio manager, the wonderful Al Clarke. From Studio B in Hamilton Hall, I'm Jimmy Patton, and we'll see you next time.